So the secret blueprint. This is like the third time we're doing this. Secret blueprint for that got you married, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess who are you for the people who don't know you?
I am Teriam Saleh. I am a wife and a mom. I was and still is a mom before I got married at the age of 43.
Okay, perfect. So now the reason we call it blueprint is because we have, you know, for you before you got married, there's a couple things that happened, and you believe that they helped you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, get
Absolutely.
married.
Yeah.
Now let's start with, I guess, do we start like when you were single, or do you want to start like after?
We can start. We could do start single.
Okay, single. What happened from
So what
there,
happened?
and then where was that trajectory going, and then when did when you started the different blueprint that got you to get married? What was that trajectory? So let's start with single. What happened there?
Single. All right. So I was with my son's father for 10 and a half years.
Okay.
And when that relationship ended, I did not jump straight into another relationship. I paused. I needed to take some time for me to go through the healing process, reflect, also focused on my son at the time. He was a very young age at the time the breakup occurred. So my attention really wasn't on another man.
Do you think most people?
Most people, for the most part, they jump soon as a relationship ends, they go right into another.
Okay.
I was once told the best way to get over your ex is to get in right into another relationship. Is to get another one. No, that didn't work for me. I do know most people will jump from person to person to person to person without any type of break for themselves. Yeah, so for me, I paused. I said, okay, nope. Let me get me together. Right? And so getting me together, I end up dating someone else. And that did not work out. I'm like, okay, nope. It's time for a pause. Right? And so again, most people would jump from that one person straight into another.
Okay.
Or they may even have 2 or 3 other people they could jump to and, kind of go with the flow that way. That wasn't me.
Okay. So when did you now realize that you want to get married? And then what do you think, like if someone who is now, either they are single or they just broke up from someone and now they want to have their trajectory going to get married, where do they start?
Where do they start? They have to want it.
Okay.
They have to want it. And for me, I wanted it. So as I continue to date other men, I had an upfront contract.
What is that?
My
What does that mean?
upfront contract was I am looking to be married. Also, I'm looking to have more children. If the man was not open to that, then that weeded him out.
Okay.
Process of elimination.
When would you say that? When would you bring that up?
When would I bring that up? That would be brought up day one.
So wait, what does an upfront contract mean then?
Upfront contract meaning you are stating what your expectations are. You're voicing them. You're voicing them to the man. Just as well the man can voice his expectations to you. The upfront contract allows your wishes or your expectations to be known. That way everything is laid out clear. No room for any type of guesswork. No room for confusion. Nothing get misconstrued. So that way it gives both parties the option to either continue on with the dating process or end it right there.
Okay. Now, do you think most people do? What do most people do?
I believe most people just kind of hee ha ha. They go with the flow. See how it work. They just, oh, he cute. He this. Oh, she look good. Whatever. However the men think. But for a woman, she's looking, most women are looking to have a void filled. So just being in the presence of a man is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not even finding out information about the man,
Mm-hmm.
that's still enough for them.
Mm-hmm.
They figure they'll get to that later. Right now, they just want to enjoy him.
Right.
And so, most women don't have the upfront contracts. It's not until later on down the line, oh, you got a girlfriend? Oh, why you didn't tell me? What, you didn't ask?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So now, of course, since you're doing that, how many, like, does that mean you probably have to go through a couple then, right?
Men
Mhm.
go through a couple. Oh yeah, I went through before me and you, Matt. Oh yeah, I went through quite a few,
Okay.
and I'm glad that I did because it helped to weed out everybody that was not for me, that didn't meet my expectations, and it worked.
Now you said you only had 2 criteria, only 2 things.
Well, I had the marriage, I had more children, and I had no sex until marriage.
Okay.
So
and would you say these on the first?
I would say it on the first day,
Okay.
the first. And the reason being is because I didn't want to be the type of woman to lead a man on.
Mhm.
Some women do. They lead a man on and lead him on and lead him on and lead him on. And then it gets to that point where the woman ends up getting hurt because now her emotions are involved. She's attached to the man. And men operate differently. They don't get easily attached as women do. So yeah, I would say it day one because I didn't want anything to get misconstrued.
Okay. Now, so what's next? So say now you found the person.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. So before I go there, so during that process of elimination, you know, of course, most people give up. So
Yeah. See, me, it fueled me because in my mind, I knew my husband is out there. We just haven't crossed paths. He's waiting on me. But in the meantime, while he's waiting on me and I'm waiting on him, God is preparing me for him. And God is preparing him for me. So that was the mindset that I kept. It wasn't that I would give up. I didn't have that give up mentality because I already knew what I wanted. I knew it. And so for every man that I gave an upfront contract to, and he didn't agree with the contract, he didn't sign off on it, cool. Bye-bye. I'll see you later. It's good. Because you helped me to get one step closer to meeting my husband.
what if they also had an upfront contract? What about that? Like, what would happen then?
If they had an upfront contract,
I mean, they would, I'm assuming they would also have one.
most of the men that I dated or even had conversation with before you and I, most of them didn't have much of a contract, an upfront contract. I'm the one that laid it out. Like, I'm A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Most of the men didn't have an upfront contract.
Why is that? Do you think it's a cultural thing? Do you think it's a system thing? What is it?
I believe maybe they assumed that they had a girl or was talking to a woman that would just kind of go with the flow. Maybe they were used to dealing with the women that just kind of went with whatever they said or however they wanted to flow, and that was it. But I stood my ground.
So would you suggest that people would do that? Like
I suggest women definitely have an upfront contract. If women have an upfront contract, it could eliminate so much confusion. It could eliminate them getting their feelings hurt. It could eliminate the man leading them on. Because see, as women, sometimes we don't take accountability. We try to put it all on the man. But nope, we have to take accountability too. Where do we stand? So I believe if women would do an upfront contract, they can go on about their business. Stop wasting time.
All right, so we're in the first part of the blueprint, which is if you're going to start dating, start with an upfront contract, right?
Yeah.
So what's next after that? Let's say they sort and they get to that guy that agrees the upfront contract. That guy still hasn't, there's still some way to go because he has to also find that person, a wife to even propose. So what goes on there, right?
So while the woman is giving her upfront contract to the man, she's in the process of asking God for who she wants. So even while she's doing the process of elimination, nope, he's gone, he gone. She's still working on herself and she's still asking.
Okay.
She's still sitting down. She's thinking, who does she want? What does she want her husband to look like? What does she want him to do? Who does she want him to be? She's still doing all of this. So she's still creating. She's manifesting. And so even though, she's done an upfront contract and you say, wait a minute, the man.
I mean, let's say she done the upfront contract, right. She sorted through, she now has had a guy who has said okay to that upfront contract. What's happening now? They're now, in the process.
What's happening now? Okay, yep. He agreed to her upfront contract. I am going to make the assertion she agreed to his upfront contract. Okay. He had an upfront contract too, and she said yes. So they have signed agreements. Okay.
Now what's next?
And what's next is they date.
Okay. What happens there?
They're dating with clarity. They're dating with purpose because she wants to be married. So understanding, okay, they're dating with the purpose to be married. Okay. They're dating. She wants children or no children. They're dating, marriage, children or no children. Okay, they're dating. Okay, sex before marriage or no sex before marriage. Whatever the contract was, they're sticking to that contract. And they're learning each other. They're learning. They're building rapport. They're learning to, well, not so much learning, but the woman is using her intuition to find out if she feels safe with him. And if she does not feel safe with him, then she needs to leave.
Okay.
Even though they have agreements.
Now, of course, men lie, right? When it comes to stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So now, what if that person is in that contract is agreed, but then, it's still not, the person hasn't proposed yet?
That's a great question. If the guy has not proposed yet,
even though they already agreed,
they agreed. So now they're dating. I don't know if the woman put a timeline
on the upfront contract.
In the upfront contract. I know for me, the longest relationship that I was in was with my son's father for 10.5 years. I knew I was never, ever going to be in another relationship for 10.5 years and not be married, because my son's father and I, we did not get married. So I had already in my mind knew I'm not waiting another 10.5 years. In my mind, I'm like, on day one, we talking about marriage. I'm not waiting a whole year for you to be talking about something you want to propose either. But that was my mindset. Some women are willing to kind of be, I guess you could say maybe strung along. Even though they both agreed some women are okay with just kind of going along and going along. But the woman at some point has to realize, like, okay, enough is enough.
So how
are we gonna get
so
married?
then how do you, like, at least
How
what
do
did
you
you
do?
do? What did you do? So, then you got, because I don't remember you sharing that, you shared that you don't want to wait 10 years, but
Yeah.
you didn't share that you wanted, you
Yeah,
didn't
I
share a
didn't share.
timeline.
Yeah, I believe for us, I don't know. I believe for us it's like we just knew.
Okay.
And I always told you that for me, I feel like I've already known you.
Hmm.
So somewhere along the line, in some lifetime, we met already.
So then you
Um,
think with other people, after they do the upfront contract, it'll probably be the same way, or what do you think?
it may be the same way for them,
Hmm.
it may be not.
So if it's not.
So if it's not, I mean, the woman, she does still have to be clear,
Mhm.
even though they both signed the contracts and they're dating. She has to be the one to determine, am I going to wait 6 months?
Mhm.
Am I going to wait a year before, he proposes? Is it going to be a year and a half? Is it going to be 2 years? The woman does have to figure out
Mhm.
what her time frame is going to be. Because some men will just kind of go along with the flow. Even if they sign an agreement, they'll go along. It's almost kind of like, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
Mhm.
That saying. So the woman, she does have to come to a decision, like a concrete time frame. But she also needs to voice that
Mhm.
to the guy she's dating.
Mhm.
She really does.
Now, what if there's a woman that did that? Because I also think the guy has some sort of intuition in terms of,
Mhm.
like, knowing if that woman is even ready to be a wife.
Hmm.
So how does a woman know that she's ready to be a wife, and a guy could also tell that she's ready to be a wife? How does she know that?
How does she know that she's ready?
Mm-hmm.
I believe a woman knows that she's ready to be a wife if she's willing to commit her time to someone else other than herself and to serve someone else other than herself. Because it's really a serving aspect to it. Doesn't matter how you feel. Doesn't matter what may have been said, not said, or whatever. It doesn't matter about a disagreement. Are you still willing to come through for your soon-to-be husband, despite what goes on externally? And so for me, that's what I believe in knowing when you are ready to become a wife or to be a wife, because you're already in the become. You should be in that becoming process before.
Okay.
Yeah. So just understanding time commitment. Are you willing to spend the rest of your life that you know of here in this realm with your husband? Are you willing to have the disagreement healthily with no arguments? Because, see, a lot of people argue. I know I said, I was adamant about this, that I'm not arguing with my husband. We would disagree, but I'm not arguing. So that's what I believe in terms of, a woman knowing if she's ready to become a wife. And then the other part was about the guy knowing if she's ready. Now, a man, I don't know the thoughts of men. I can only go off of what I have seen. But I do know that some men will voice Like, yeah, you wife material.
Mm-hmm.
I know you did it for me. You told me. So for that man, you know, I really don't know all about that. Do you want to give your feedback on it?
I don't know. I think it's the characteristics. I guess is the demeanor, femininity, stuff like that. Kind of gives it up. So I guess for me, I would normally how someone looks and how they talk already almost gives it away. So if you already hear, if a woman already hears it from people saying that, you know, they're wife material, then that's kind of a sign already. You're almost there.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And then the being the wife part, I like how you said about the femininity.
Mm-hmm.
When allowing the man to be masculine,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to try to, you know, a woman should not try to match, you know, a man. We're made up differently, two different makeups, you know what I mean? So just the woman acknowledging or accepting the fact that she can be in her feminine energy and allow the man to be the man and the woman be the woman.
So I guess, so the blueprint is definitely offer and contract to start. And then it seems like from there, everything else is kind of easier since...
Yeah, everything else is easier. Another part of the blueprint, I would say, is I wrote, I want to say it was before we met, so I would say 10 months, maybe 10 months before we met, I wrote out specifically what I wanted. So this was August of 2023 because we met June of 2024. So in August of 2023, I wrote a very detailed letter of the characteristics of my husband, how I wanted him to be, how I wanted him to look, everything. And so I knew that with me writing, because I understand the power of asking, I understand also too the power of writing what you want and believing what you write and believing what you ask. And so in that letter that I wrote, I mean, I wrote from health, wealth, and relationship. I covered all of those areas and more. But I was very, very detailed. And even after I wrote that letter, I was still in the asking process. Still asking. Still asking, still asking, still asking, still asking, still asking. I was even asking up until our first date. I say, God, I keep on running into these Scorpios. God, send me an Aries. And I remember you picked me up. I got in the car. You asked me when my birthday was. I asked you when your birthday was. I say, oh, so you were Aries. God, I was just talking to you about this 15 minutes ago. So I understand the importance and the power of asking. That's the blueprint. You gotta ask.
Okay. Is that it, you think?
That would be it in terms of the blueprint. You know, upfront contract, becoming the wife before actually being a wife, and definitely writing what you want, asking what you want. Don't cut yourself short is what people would say. Be specific. When you go to the bank and you withdraw money, you don't give them a roundabout number.
Mm-hmm.
You give them an exact number of the money that you want, whether you're at an ATM or whether you are inside of a bank talking to a teller.
Mm-hmm.
You give them the exact amount. And what do? The ATM give you the exact amount that you put in. The teller gives you the exact amount that you request. Same concept. So I was very specific. And what I put in terms of being specific, I got out.
Okay.
And so that's the blueprint.
All right. So I guess we'll see him on the next video.
Next video, stay tuned.